This is a climate emergency. We are a World Heritage Site, we're a national park. I think we have a responsibility to look after this special place and do what we can to mitigate the impact of climate change on this landscape and protect it not just for ourselves but for future generations as well. Ambleside Action for a Future, it's a community group that we set up probably about 15 months ago now to see what we could do as a community to reduce the carbon footprint of the town. We've formalised ourselves as a group. We've set up 3 different smaller parts to that, one of which is the one that I'm specifically working on, which is called Ambleside to Zero. So we affectionately call it A to Z for short. Another looks at lobbying and trying to address policy change, and then the third group also looks at trying to develop a number of growing initiatives in the town.
From my perspective, it really was the growing that interested me the most. So how can we grow more food here? How can that help us change our diets? How can that help us capture carbon? How can that encourage biodiversity? And how actually it can improve our health.
We're in the Celtic Centre in the middle of Ambleside, and Ambleside Action for Future have arranged a growing and planting workshop to try and encourage the residents of Ambleside to grow things, insect-friendly flowers, bee-friendly flowers, to grow herbs, to grow vegetables, to make us more self-sufficient really in food growing, because I think the effects of climate change will be extreme, and that we may really need to grow more of our own food.
Putting the feet on these window boxes, it just raises them up so that they can drain out the bottom, like that.
And there's been lots of really good advice about not only sending people home with some plants in a window box, but how to look after them, how to nurture them. So this workshop is really to reconnect people with growing, learning skills and learning that it's necessary to start growing. I mean, learning about the decline in insects, because I'm sure many people don't realise what a threat it is for us. Often what we can each grow for ourselves is really a very small proportion of what we consume. But Ambleside Action for a Future are also growing in other spaces for the communities.
So we're standing in a beautiful Rothay Park that I've known since my early childhood. Someone had said, my grandchildren, the village where they go to, by the playground, there's apple trees and they're allowed to pick and eat them. And so that chap, along with another few of his friends, then said, OK, we'll do that. And they've organised finding the right trees in the right locations. This was our start of a 10. We've got another one over there, and we've got another 7 going in. And we're launching the community orchard on the 21st of March.
We have raised beds now up at the university, and we have some beds around the health centre that we can use, and we're planting their vegetables for the community. So anybody can avail themselves of those.
And specifically for our Ambleside to Zero group, we've set ourselves the target of trying to get Ambleside to be a zero carbon community by 2030. So that's in a 10-year horizon.
My particular interest is the built environment, because from the figures I understand, a quarter of UK energy use goes on heating our domestic houses. And in Ambleside, with our housing stock, which is 18th, 19th century, 1970s, 1980s, when insulation wasn't a problem. There's no point in fitting flashy new energy things if all the heat is leaking out of the houses, which is why I got interested in the CAF scheme of Cold Cosy. Simple measures, draft proofing, LED bulbs, those sort of things.
We've done quite a large-scale survey on the rooftops around Ambleside that we can see around here to try and assess the potential for doing a renewable energy project on photovoltaics to deliver a solar panel renewable electricity project. So yes, let's try and deliver some things very, very quickly, But let's equally keep sight that some of the bigger projects might take a few years to deliver, but those are the ones that will probably have the biggest impact in the longer term. There's also a huge opportunity here as well. Ambleside is in quite a unique position. It's a tourist community, it's a tourist town, so we have thousands and thousands of visitors coming to Ambleside every year. Whatever we can deliver and share with other communities around the Lake District, around the rest of the country, then that will have a ripple effect and have a massive, greater influence than just in Ambleside itself.
Resilience is really important, not just resilience in terms of practical things like food growing, but also resilience in terms of our relationships with one another as a community.
A chat bench is simply a place where people can have a chat. In the midst of all of this, climate change can also make people feel quite isolated or lonely or anxious about things.
Anybody that wants to get involved in this project, come on board. We have a huge list of projects that we'd like to deliver in order to reduce our carbon footprint as a community and as a town.
I hope it might grow the numbers of people who come to Ambleside Action for a Future, because those numbers are growing exponentially.
We have a website, Ambleside Action for a Future. We have a Facebook page. We meet on a regular basis every single month. Come along, see what your area of interest is, see what your area of expertise is, and see how you can help the group.